Have you ever wished you could be just a little bit smarter? Learn faster, solve problems better, be more creative? Of course we all have. For the longest time, the answer to that question seemed to be a big, fat no. But what if I told you science now tells a completely different story? Let's get into it.
So let's just tackle the big question right away. Can you actually get smarter? A lot of us grew up thinking that intelligence is something you're just born with. It's a fixed number, like your shoe size. You've got what you've got, and that's it. And honestly, for decades, that's what science thought too. Your IQ was your IQ. End of story. But that entire idea is being completely flipped on its head by modern neuroscience. The new thinking? Our brains are not set in stone at all. In fact, they are incredibly adaptable.
And the magic behind this is a concept called neuroplasticity. Now, I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but the idea is actually pretty simple. Your brain can physically change itself. It can literally build new pathways and make existing ones stronger based on what you do, what you think, and what you experience. It's basically the use it or lose it principle, but for your entire mind.
Okay, so when we talk about getting smarter, what do we really mean? Well, psychologists usually break intelligence down into two main types. You've got crystallized intelligence, which is like your personal library of facts and skills, all the stuff you've learned. And then you have fluid intelligence. That's your ability to think on your feet, to solve brand new problems you've never seen before. And while you can grow both, it's boosting that fluid intelligence that really supercharges your problem-solving skill.
All of this learning, it's all built on memory. Now, don't worry about the French text on this diagram. The idea is what's important. It's showing how information comes in through your senses, that funnel on the left, gets held in your short-term memory, the table in the middle, and then hopefully gets filed away into long-term memory, that filing cabinet on the right. Neuroplasticity is what paves and strengthens that road from the table to the filing cabinet, making it easier to lock things in for good.
So how do we actually use this incredible power? How do we take control of our own neuroplasticity? Well, the research points to a really clear three-part framework. I want you to think of your brain like a high-performance computer. First, you need top-notch hardware. Then, you need to install the right software. And finally, you need an efficient operating system to run it all. For us, that means fueling, training, and focusing. So let's start with pillar one, fueling your brain. This is the hardware. Before you can even think about solving complex problems or learning a new language, you have to make sure the machine itself is running perfectly, right? You wouldn't expect a supercomputer to work if it wasn't plugged in. And the science on this is crystal clear. There are three things that are totally non-negotiable for brain health. You need consistent aerobic exercise, you need high-quality sleep, and you need a nutrient-rich diet. These three things are the absolute bedrock. Get these right, and you're building a solid foundation for everything else. Let's just zoom in on exercise for a second, because this is so cool. When you do aerobic exercise, we're talking running, swimming, even just a really brisk walk, your brain floods with a protein called BDNF that stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Just think of BDNF as Miracle-Gro for your brain cells. It literally helps create new neurons and strengthens the connections you already have. It's amazing. All right, so our hardware is fueled up and ready to go. Now let's talk about pillar two, training your mind. This is our software. It's not enough to have a healthy brain. You got to use it. You have to actively run programs and challenges to build new cognitive muscle. And the main idea here is really simple, but it's so powerful. Seek out new things. Constantly challenge yourself. In fact, out of all the major personality traits that psychologists study, openness to experience is the only one that's consistently linked to a higher IQ. See, when you try something new, your brain releases dopamine, which not only feels good, but it actually primes your brain for learning by kickstarting the growth of new neurons.
But here's the catch, and this quote from a famous study on people playing Tetris really hits it home. At first, when they were learning, their brains were on fire, using tons of energy. But as they got better, their brains became more efficient, using way less energy. And that efficiency, it sounds like a good thing, but it's actually a sign that the brain isn't being challenged anymore. It's not growing.
So the big takeaway is this. The second a task becomes easy, your brain stops building new connections from doing it. In a weird way, efficiency is the enemy of growth. The moment you master something, it's time to find the next new challenge to keep that brain of yours in construction mode.
And if you're looking for a great challenge, try something like the Memory Palace technique. It's an ancient and seriously powerful method. Here's how it works. First, you pick a place you know like the back of your hand, maybe your apartment. Second, you map out a specific route, say from your front door, through the living room to the kitchen. Third, you take whatever you want to remember, like a grocery list, and you vividly place each item at a specific spot along that route. Maybe the milk is spilling on the sofa. Finally, to remember the list, you just take a mental walk along your route and see the items. It's an incredible workout for your brain.
Which brings us to our final pillar, mastering your focus. Okay, so if fueling is the hardware and training is the software, then focus is your operating system. It's how you manage all your mental resources, how you regulate your emotions, and how you point all that brain power where it needs to go.
And one of the most powerful ways to upgrade your mental OS is mindfulness. Just look at these brain scans. They show the networks that are physically changed by long-term meditation. This isn't just about feeling calm. We're talking about real structural remodeling. You can see more gray matter in the prefrontal cortex, that's your brain's CEO, and a smaller amygdala, which is the brain's little alarm system.
And these physical changes are backed up by some amazing changes in your brain chemistry. Regular meditation leads to more GABA, which helps you feel calm. It boosts serotonin, which keeps your mood stable. And look at that, it even leads to higher levels of that same brain growth protein, BDNF, that we get from exercise. It all connects.
Now, a huge part of mastering your focus is just managing your energy. And get ready for this number. The average adult makes somewhere around 35,000 decisions every single day. Yeah, from what to wear to how to phrase an email, it's a constant drain.
And every one of those tiny decisions eats up a little bit of your mental energy, which leads to something called decision fatigue. That's why creating routines is so important. If you automate the small stuff, like what you eat for breakfast, and you batch similar tasks together, you save up all that precious mental energy for the things that really matter, thinking deeply and learning hard new things.
So, we've fueled our hardware, we've installed challenging new software, and we've optimized our operating system. Now let's talk about the single best strategy for making sure everything you learn actually sticks. The ultimate learning hack.
This is called the learning pyramid. Again, don't worry about the text, the picture tells the story. It shows how well we tend to remember information based on how we learn it. Down at the bottom, you have passive methods, like just listening to a lecture, really low retention rates. But as you move up the pyramid to more active ways of learning, the retention rates go through the roof.
So what's at the very top? What's the absolute best way to learn something? Teaching it to someone else. When you actually force your brain to organize information, simplify it, and explain it to another person, you can remember an incredible 90% of it.
And the perfect way to put this into action is with something called the Feynman technique, named after the genius physicist Richard Feynman. It's so simple. You just take a concept you want to learn, and then you try to explain it in super simple terms, like you were teaching it to a kid. The second you get stuck or have to use complicated jargon, you've found a gap in your own understanding. It's a brilliant way to learn.
So, you see, getting smarter isn't about finding one magic trick. It's really a lifestyle. It's about fueling your body, constantly challenging your mind, and mastering your focus. It's an active process, and it's one you can absolutely control. The science is clear. Your brain is ready and waiting to grow. So the only real question left is, what new challenge are you going to give it today?